Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura, and today I'm going to make a quick and easy, fun project. And I'm going to use a piece of fabric. This is just a scrap piece of fabric, and that's all that I have left. A piece of batting, somewhat the same size. A piece of fabric for the back, and I'm going to make a miniature quilt. But it's going to be a quilt that I'm going to be able to put my coffee cup on. And I want to quilt it and get it all done in one stage. So I'm going to use a circular attachment. Because this fabric happens to be coffee related, this circle attachment is going to make circles on that quilt. And they're going to represent, well, the stains from our coffee cup. So it's going to be quick and easy. I'm going to be able to get it done in no time at all. So the first thing I need to do is iron this scrap piece of fabric, iron that backing fabric, and layer the three of those together. And because this is a small project and I want to get it done quick, I'm going to spray baste those pieces together. And that way I won't have to worry about pins or any basting at all. So as you can see, that quilt batting is a little bit smaller than what I need, but I will be trimming this down, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm also going to use bobbins that I'm no longer going to be using those colors for, and the circular attachment. There's one other thing that I do want to do to this before I bring it to the machine. I want to stabilize it. And I'm going to use a water-soluble stabilizer. So it sort of feels like paper, but when it's put in the wash or you spray water on it, the stabilizer disappears. So I'm going to turn it over to the back, and I'm going to spray base the stabilizer right on the back. All of these products are going to just wash out, so I won't need to worry about it. From here, I'm going to bring it to the machine and I'm going to quilt it. And I'm going to quilt circles using that circle attachment. I am using my Bernina, so I will be using the Bernina circular embroidery attachment. And it is this really weird shaped piece of metal. With this attachment, we get screws and a little screwdriver. And the screws will fit right here in this bed. And in order for me not to lose these screws when I'm not using this attachment, I just leave them right on the machine. They don't get in my way and I always know where they're at. So I'll take that off my safe storage spot and then put it on. You'll be able to see right at the end there is a little hole, and that's where the screw is going to attach this attachment on. We just want it on tight enough so that it's not moving. We have this little arm that's going to be able to move and a little cover that we're going to be able to pull off that covers that sort of pointy tack thing. And I'll keep that on until I need it. We can use any foot that we want for this machine. So I'm going to put on a standard foot that has a big opening so I can use any stitch that I want. And in this case, it's foot 1D. So the first stitch I'm going to do is just a straight stitch, and you'll see how fun this is going to be to use. The circle size will depend on where I move this little attachment. Take off that little cover and slide that right underneath. That stabilizer is just going to help, well, stabilize it. And gently poke that fabric right on top of that point and put that little cover right on top. I will be taking my bobbin thread and bringing it up to the top. And that way I know where it is as I'm stitching. Now simply put the pedal to the metal, and this is going to create a circle. I'm just going to keep that thread out of the way, Make sure my fabric is all smoothed down. And what we really need to do is make sure that we have a surface that this fabric is going to be able to move. And stitch. And just keep stitching. You can see that it really wants to do it all on its own. And the beautiful thing is that circle is going to match up. Take that top little cover off, lift it up, and we've already made our first circle. I can change that size of the circle, and I'm going to put some other colors in that bobbin area so I can use that up. I just randomly changed the size of that circle, and I'm just going to randomly put it onto the quilt. And put that pin cover over so I don't stab myself. This time I'm going to use a decorative stitch. I can see where this placement is that I'm going to not be able to do a full circle, which is fine. I'm just going to start off that edge, bring up the thread, and start stitching. So I'll go all the way around and come off to the other side. So the decorative stitch that I'm doing goes back and forth, but the machine is going to do all the work, and this is stabilizing that fabric for me. So it's going to stay in that circular motion. That decorative stitch makes that beautiful circle. I'm going to move it, do another circle, and another pattern. If you do want to check and make sure you're making that full circle, just test that fabric, and then we're ready to go. Thread up, and we're off to the races. If you're using a decorative stitch and those circles are not going to match up to the way the pattern is going to match up, there is a way we can camouflage that. So what we want to do is continue stitching until we get to where we've started. Stop, leave your needle in the down position. You can change that pattern, and then still with that needle position down, lift up that pin and just change the position of your circle. So what's going to happen is I'm starting right there where I've started and ended on the original pattern, and I'm going to come all the way around, stopping and starting at that point. So I'm going to have a lot of stitching in that one area. So what it's going to do is sort of stitch over the first pattern, so you're not going to see that it didn't really match. Set the machine up. I do not need to pull the thread up because it's here from that last pattern, and off we go. These decorative stitches are definitely a lot of fun to use with this circular attachment. So this was the first circle. I stopped and started here. I've left the needle down and I started that second pattern. And you can see where that pattern overlaps. You won't notice if a pattern does not match up. When we are doing our stitching, it is important that the fabric can run smoothly. We don't want it to get hung up on anything. So we can always do some little rolls so nothing gets in the way. So I've just gone around and around in all different size circles and different stitches. When we look at the back, you can see how fun this is really going to be once this is washed away. Even though the stabilizer is water soluble, I will remove portions of it. And you can see it really is easy. Once it's all trimmed up, you can see how cute that really is. And in one of those circles, I did do some lettering. I love coffee. I do happen to have a little scrap binding, so I'm going to be able to put that on. I had just enough binding to finish this little project. And to get rid of that water soluble in the back, you can just use a spray bottle with water, or you can dunk this right in water. But I'll show you how easy it is to take this off. A little bit of spray, and you can see how that just comes right off. And we really can see how nice those circles turned out using that circular attachment. This little accessory definitely is a strange looking accessory, but boy, was it a lot of fun. Now I did have the one that matched my Bernina, so be sure to check with your sewing machine to see if you can get one to suit your sewing machine. And boy, am I glad I kept that scrap fabric and that extra binding, because it's made a really nice area for me to put my coffee cup in the morning and perhaps a cookie or two. Thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe and come on back. Let's see what we're working on next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.